state it's fully if it is a quorum of the board. So I didn't know if policy, if you had spoken about that, or if that's just something we're silent on.
It's statutory.
Oh,
The statute
so
requires that the Board of Education fill a vacancy on the board. That's what this is talking about.
Yep.
A vacancy on the board, not a vacancy on a committee. So a vacancy on the board is filled by statute, and this language in here that has to be when the appointment takes effect and when it has to be done is right from the
But
statute.
who appoints is my question. Does the president appoint?
No,
or
the full board.
It's the full board.
Correct.
So it's a quorum of the
Correct,
board.
and yes, you have a different
This is,
bylaw somewhere that talks about board vacancies.
okay.
And in that board vacancy bylaw, it will talk about the
So it
process.
doesn't have to be here as well. Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I make one comment also on the policy before we vote on it? I just want to note that the policy relating to the Cranberry representatives does state, and I'd like to read it if I may, the representative of the sending district is authorized to vote on such matters that affect sending district students or that affect the governance of the Princeton Public Schools as more specifically designated in New Jersey statute. While the Cranberry School District representative shall have limited voting rights in all other respects, the representative shall function as a full member of the Princeton Board of Education, including participation in the closed session discussions.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to vote on 9110?
And
Yes?
thank you. It is 9113 that details the filling of the
But he
vacancy
just spoke
issue.
of.
Thank you.
I'm asking about a vote on 9110 first. Is there any more discussion on 9130? Yeah.
Committees on page 1 to encompass inclusion of members of the public on that committee.
And there's no limit on, a further limit. It could be one person, it could be 5 people. In
my mind, the only limit is to not have it so big that it stops working effectively.
Those are standing committees.
So 9130, I 2 months in professional, and I will not be voting for this if that line stays in there.
Issues. Right now, we're taking action to bring, to make sure that we continue to be mirroring what statute requires us to. So that's why we didn't open it up to a whole bunch of other issues we're really focusing on. So I invite any, on any of the policies, we're still working way through.
What does that mean?
We can bring it up to
Debbie's
policy committee.
issue, though, is better addressed in bylaws, where the board would be better addressed in what the board president has the right to do. Not so much.
Right here, though. I wouldn't approve this personally.
You
This is a
don't-
bylaw.
Because of that.
Well, you don't get the bylaws and decide how the bylaws work. And you look at how the president, so if you would like to change that, then we need to go back. It only blocks this policy, and work on that.
All right. I was a little surprised that we had brought this one up way back in July, and you guys just put this on, final approval, and that there was no discussion at all. And, I read the policies, so I was really surprised that we were supposed to discuss it as a group, and it basically disappeared, and I feel like that was not transparent at all. Like, that things are happening behind the scene that are a bit upsetting. The other thing, I'm confused when it says, if a committee person misses 3 meetings in consecutive, does that mean if you call in, that's not a miss? It has nothing to do with board meetings, it just has to do with committee meetings? And I want to make sure I understand that. And maybe having 5 people, we'll still be able to get work done, but, we had a major issue on facilities 2 years ago where, we were just always needing more alternates. But I'm just upset with the process. I'm upset with the process because we have a process. We have a first reading, a second reading, and this was the first time I saw this, and I had to ask like 8 times, why is it like that? Why is it like that? And, I don't understand why the 6 months since July, this one was dropped.
Do you want?
so.
Sure, just very quickly talking to that. This was tabled at the request of board members last year to take a second look at some of the issues. We promised to take a look at the legal issues as well. So we reached out to legal counsel to do that, and this was the recommendation. And Frank, if I can ask you to.
Sure, Greg, and that's correct. I had a conversation with the president and vice president, and it was my advice to move forward with these 3 policies so that we could get them in compliance with the statute, and also that we could change the number of board members who are eligible to serve on a committee to 5, given the change in the quorum requirements with the sending district member being able to vote on all those items, so that 6 is now a quorum and you can have 5 board members on the committee. It was my advice to do that and move forward with it since it had been sitting there.
All right, can we call a vote on this? Show of hands, please.
So, wait, I still haven't had an answer on if you missed 3 consecutive meetings.
So-
What are we doing with that? Yeah.
Do you want me to speak to that? I think
Sure.
when I was on the policy committee, that's something that we talked about, some of these policies, and then they had to be moved into the new policy, from the new policy manual. So the thought was precisely for what you just brought up, how there are some committees where for whatever reason, now, it could be that you missed 3 for legitimate reasons, and the chairperson, I would actually argue that the president and the chairperson of the committee discuss whether or not someone needs to be replaced. I think there's also a bylaw that we, as a board members, cannot miss more than 2 public meetings without there being some 2 consecutive public meetings. Is
I think
that
it's 3.
right?
I think it's
3.
3.
It's 3.
And it's always,
It's 3
consecutive?
consecutive
3
meetings.
consecutive.
Yes.
So you can, I'm sorry, you can miss 2 consecutive.
Yes.
So 3 is, so I think we just added that language to the committee over a year ago to mirror that, just for productivity. Right.
And that was the point I was going to make, because
Right.
sometimes these committee meetings are moving targets. And for people who have other commitments, it gets to be really difficult. As long as there's discretion in here, I'm comfortable moving forward.
And is that, whose discretion is that? Is that the committee chair or the
It's
board president?
It says board
Policy
president.
says.
What I was actually going to suggest, because our board president is not ex officio on every member, on every committee, it could be someday, some years
she
from,
is.
but only if there's not a quorum. She can't be ex officio if there's already a quorum present, correct? She can't be the
In other words,
sixth member.
right, correct, she can't, the ex officio member can't create a quorum.
Correct, so
Regardless of how many
some
people-
boards,
right.
correct me if I'm wrong, I think some boards have 4 members on a sitting committee to allow the president,
be on all
who
of them.
never is a committee member, to attend as many or as few as the board president would like. The way we assign our board president to committees, it could someday, decades from now, be the board president who's missing meetings. So maybe having it be a chairperson and board president conversation, that's something we can talk to in the future as well.
Okay. Are we ready for a vote on 9130?
Just one quick note. I will vote no, and it's not a reflection of current president or past president. I just personally think the president of the board should be more an administrative function. I'm happy with you, Beth. So it's not a reflection on you. I just would like it to be more of an administrative function, kind of like a chairperson of a committee. So anything that sort of elevates one board member above another, I have a philosophical problem with. Other than that, I'm really happy to see that 5 people can be on a committee, and I believe that's talking about in this. So it's with mixed feelings that I vote no.
So let's call for a vote. All in favor? Okay. All right, got it. Thank you. Motion passed.
So yeah,
Now-
opposed.
Oh, and opposed? All those opposed?
Some no.
Thank you for the coaching. Okay, so it's passed. We're moving on to 9325. Yeah.
Bill and Debbie.
Can I have a motion on 9325?
Oh, so moved.
Somebody? Yeah, Michelle, second? Bill? Any discussion? Call for a vote?
Whoa.
I'm trying. I'll just remind us, we are trying to do some training at 8:45.
Okay, yeah, you can call them.
All in favor? Thank you, unanimous, passed. Okay. Now, we're moving on to K.